Think of all the wealth, the power, the chaos that comes with the stock market. Now, erase it all. Imagine a world where stocks, IPOs, and trading floors never existed. Would the world thrive without it, or would we descend into financial chaos? Stay with me, because the answer may surprise you. A surprise. The stock market has been the backbone of global finance for over 400 years. It's more than numbers on a screen. It's a system that connects people, ideas, and nations. But today, let's dive into an alternate reality. What if the stock market never existed? No Wall Street, no trading apps, no hedge funds. Let's imagine how our world, our lives, and our futures would be transformed. In the 1600s, the Dutch East India Company needed money to fund risky voyages to the East Indies. Instead of borrowing, they created a groundbreaking idea: sell shares of the company to the public. This was the birth of the stock market. But imagine if this idea never came to life. Instead of companies sharing risks with investors, they'd rely on banks or wealthy elites for loans. Small businesses would remain small. Entrepreneurs? Their dreams would stay confined to the wealth they could personally gather. Innovation as we know it would grind to a halt. There would be no Tesla, no Amazon, no Apple. Not because the ideas wouldn't exist, but because the capital to make them a reality would be out of reach. Without the stock market, governments would be forced to take on a new role as the primary financiers of growth. But centralizing financial power creates problems. Imagine if every company needed government approval and funding. Only industries considered safe or beneficial would get the green light. Risks wouldn't be tolerated. Would a company like SpaceX, focused on colonizing Mars, get funding? Unlikely. This would stifle bold ideas, leaving us with only basic or traditional industries thriving. Nations with abundant natural resources might flourish. Oil, gold, or agricultural exports would fuel economies. But resource-poor countries? They'd struggle to compete, further widening the global inequality we already see today. For everyday people, the absence of the stock market would mean fewer opportunities to build wealth. Today, even modest investors can buy shares in a company and see their money grow over time. Without this system, where would your savings go? You'd be left with traditional options: bank deposits, land, or gold. But these options come with limits. Land and gold are expensive and inaccessible to many, and banks would offer minimal returns. Speaking of retirement, the concept of a 401k wouldn't exist. Pensions would rely solely on government systems, which could be unreliable. The dream of financial independence would remain just that, a dream for most people. The biggest casualty in this stock-free world would be the tech industry. Google, Facebook, Netflix, none of these giants would have grown as they did. Without public funding, tech companies would depend on loans or venture capital, which only a handful would secure. Forget global apps and instant connectivity. You'd still be stuck with local systems and limited networks. Imagine a world without smartphones, global e-commerce, or artificial intelligence. This is the cost of a world without the stock market: a slower pace of technological progress and fewer tools to connect us globally. Here's a sobering thought. Without stock markets, financial crises like the 2008 meltdown might still happen, but for different reasons. Instead of market crashes, you'd see government debt crises. With governments funding most industries, any misstep would lead to massive defaults. Imagine the chaos if an entire country's industries were at risk of collapsing simultaneously. Trade would also slow down. Today, multinational corporations rely on stock markets to expand. In our alternate reality, international trade would be limited, creating isolated economies and reducing global interdependence. But is it all bad? Not necessarily. Without stock markets, there'd be less financial speculation, no hedge funds, no billion-dollar bubbles, and fewer financial crises. The stock market often encourages risky behavior, such as short-term profits over long-term stability. In a world without it, businesses might rely on sustainable growth rather than chasing valuations. Communities would focus more on local economies, with individuals emphasizing tangible assets like land or cooperative ownership. This could lead to simpler, more stable economies. Without the pressure of quarterly earnings, businesses might align more with community values. Imagine a company investing in long-term environmental solutions because there's no pressure to please shareholders. It's a slower world, but potentially a more thoughtful and equitable one. The stock market is far from perfect. It creates winners and losers, drives inequality, and fuels volatility. But it also powers dreams, funds innovation, and connects the global economy. Without it, we'd lose a powerful tool that has shaped our world for centuries. Progress would slow, risks would decrease, and the gap between the rich and poor might grow even wider. This isn't to say the stock market is flawless, it isn't. But its absence would leave us with a world less dynamic, less interconnected, and less ambitious. Like it or not, the stock market reflects our modern society. Imperfect but indispensable. What do you think? Would the world be better off without the stock market, or is it an essential part of modern life? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more thought-provoking content.